Have you ever heard a story about greed so potent it leads to an act of shocking cruelty? Well, we're about to dive into one of those stories, but this one ends with one of the most incredible turnarounds you can imagine, a truly astonishing reversal of fortune.
So let me ask you something. Imagine you left someone behind, someone who was completely and utterly helpless, and a full year goes by. What would you expect to find when you finally went back? Just hold that thought, because we're about to see just how wrong those expectations can be.
All right, so we're jumping into this story a year after a pivotal, life-altering event. This first part we're calling The Reluctant Return, and it follows a man on a journey he absolutely does not want to take, one that is about to unravel everything he thinks he knows.
So, this is Vladimir. He's driving to some godforsaken village, and he is not happy about it. He's not going out of concern. Oh no, he's going because his mother, Nina, has suddenly insisted. You see, he hasn't seen his wife, Nadezhda, in a year. Not since he and his mom left her there, disabled and totally alone. And now, he's just annoyed that this trip is wasting his only day off.
And this is where it gets really interesting. What caused this sudden panic from his mother? After a whole year of silence, she hits him with this question, and listen to the wording here. Or worse, maybe she got up. That single line, it tells you everything you need to know about what she's really afraid of. And it's the reason this whole journey is happening.
So to really understand the fear behind that one little word, worse, we need to rewind. Let's go back 1 year and uncover the cold, calculated plan that started all this. The plot against Nadezhda.
Okay, so there are three key people in this drama. You've got Nina Ignatievna, the domineering mother, a former actress who loves being in control. Then there's her son, Vladimir Hayden, a man in his late 30s who, let's be honest, still does whatever his mommy tells him. And then there's Nadezhda, his 27-year-old wife, who was once an ambitious professional, now completely trapped in her own body after a severe stroke left her unable to move or even speak. And this is how Nina justifies their plan. These are her actual words to her son. She calls her own daughter-in-law a vegetable, twisting a horrible prognosis into a reason for just abandoning her. There is zero compassion here. It's all just cold, pragmatic cruelty.
Because, and this is the crucial part, this was never about caring for her. It was about greed. Plain and simple. Nina convinced Vladimir that if they just got rid of Nadezhda, they could get their hands on a decent inheritance after she inevitably passed away. They were literally leaving her to die so they could cash in.
And the most horrifying part, Nadezhda is right there. She hears every single word of their disgusting plan. This woman, who had dreams of running her own company, can only sit in her wheelchair, a silent witness to her own betrayal. You can just imagine her eyes screaming the words her mouth can't form. So, with the plot set, they moved on to the next phase, exiling her to a dying village. And this is where the true horror of their actions really gets put into motion.
And would you just look at the deception here? To a concerned neighbor, Nina spins this whole sob story about an expensive sanatorium, sighing about how they have to tighten their belts to pay for it. But the reality? It couldn't be more different. They are driving Nadezhda out to her grandmother's old, dilapidated house in a nearly deserted village to be forgotten. And who did they hire to provide this so-called constant care? A woman named Galina, a local drunk that Vladimir literally finds passed out on a bench. This is the person they entrusted with a completely helpless woman's life. I mean, come on, it wasn't just neglect, it was basically a death sentence. And these are Vladimir's final words to his wife as he leaves her in this nightmare. He looks at the overgrown garden, the crooked fence, the passed-out caregiver, and says this. The cynicism is absolutely staggering. He just gets in his car and drives away, leaving her to her fate. And now let's jump forward. We're back in the present day. 1 year has passed. Vladimir has finally arrived in the village, ready for what he's about to find. And what he finds is not at all what he or his mother ever expected.
So, for a whole year, this was their little system. The drunk caregiver, Galina, would call Nina once a week with a completely fake update. Nina would send just enough money to keep the lie going. They had no real information. They just assumed their cruel little plan was working perfectly.
But when Vladimir pulls up to the house, something's off. The grass is actually mowed, but it looks like no one's been here for some time. And the front door, it's locked tight with a massive padlock. Nadezhda is gone.
He eventually tracks Galina down at the local moonshiner's place. Drunk as usual, of course, he drags her outside and demands to know where his wife is, and Galina just smirks and says she'll show him for a price.
And this is it. This is the moment. This is where the story completely flips on its head. Everything Vladimir and his mother thought they knew was about to be absolutely shattered.
So Galina leads him not to a grave, but to a place that shouldn't even exist in this dying village. Instead of that rotting shack, he's standing in front of a magnificent 3-story mansion with huge iron gates and a perfectly manicured estate. He is in total, utter shock.
And there, standing on the steps of this mansion, looking down at him, is Nadezhda. She is not in a wheelchair. She is not sick. She is not dying. She is standing. She's healthy, dressed in a sharp, elegant suit, looking powerful and completely in control. The woman he left for dead is staring right back at him, reborn.
And her first words to him, they aren't angry or tearful. They're just calm, measured, and utterly chilling. I already thought you wouldn't show up. She was expecting him. The tables haven't just turned, they've been thrown clean across the room. He follows her inside, totally speechless, and sees a life he just can't comprehend. The house is stunning. He glimpses an office filled with business papers, a computer, all the signs of a busy, successful life. This wasn't just a recovery, this was a complete resurrection. And then she delivers the final blow. She tells him, "I also didn't expect that for money my beloved husband would send me away to die." And then the checkmate. "I know everything about you, dear." She knew about the plot, she heard it all, and this entire year she's been planning her response.
She then reveals that the decent inheritance they were after was actually hers all along, a massive windfall from a grandmother in Germany. She was about to share it all with him, but then she says, "I saw something that made me change my mind." And that's where our story leaves us. What on earth did she see? What was that one moment that exposed his true character and ultimately saved her life? Now that is the mystery we're left to unravel.